What's up, nail geeks, and welcome back to another little box of horrors video. If you're new around these parts, if you're new to indie polish in general, Little Box of Horrors is a horror themed, almost pop culture type of collaboration between dozens of makers. There's quite a few of them. This is a pretty decent sized collab, and every month it features some horror theme of some type. I think this is one of my favorite months so far because it's cartoons and I'm seeing quite a bit of brighter finishes, brighter colors, just an array in general of base colors to go along with their finishes. The pre-order typically goes on for a week and the pre-order is just around the corner by the time I get this video up. So I have a couple of them to show you all. Quite a few. There is quite a few makers more that are featured in the shop with their goodies that I did not get for review. What you're seeing in my video is from the makers who chose me to represent their polish through video and through photos. So without further ado, let's dive right in. We're going to kick this off with Chamaeleons. This is Better Harvest Laughter, described as a purple when cold to magenta when warm thermal with an assortment of yellow hex glitters. This is inspired by Monsters Inc. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. We have a very squishy, jelly smooth formula. I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats. If you are rocking shorties, I think 2 coats might be perfect. If you have wide load nails like myself or any type of free edge, I'm going to suggest 3 very thin coats. No issues with glitters or fishing or anything, but it will be thirsty and textured from them. So I would suggest a glitter smoothing top coat and a glossy top coat to have that ultra smooth jello-like consistency. Chamaeleon also brings us Boo's Door. This is a solar polish that's white inside to magenta in the sunlight / UV light, whichever. And it has blue and orange shimmers and scattered hollow. This one's also inspired by Monsters Inc. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. This is what I would consider a milky type of white finish. It's a true white. I'm not detecting any type of undertones in person. It's quite cool and so very flattering. It is on the milkier side, so if you have a super prominent free edge, you might see a little bit of that peeking out. If that bugs you, I would suggest a nude to you cream or a blurring base coat of some type. And using a nail lamp is how I got that purple transition there. This is also what it's going to look like in the sunlight. And here is Scare Leader. This is described as a solar polish going from baby blue inside to purple in the sunlight or UV light with pink, orange, yellow iridescent flakes and tiny golden hollow glitters. This one's $13.50 with a cap of 60 bottles. Scare Leader has a crelly type formula to it, though it leans just a touch more on the crelly cream side. It is so satisfying to build up. I'm going to suggest 3 light or 2 normal coats, though 3 light will give you more flaky payoff. They are of the smaller variety, so you'll get that shredded, speckled looking appearance. And in sunshine, you're going to get that nice purpley looking appearance in outdoors, or if you wanted to see it with a nail lamp, you can see it that way too. And here is Danglefoot's If It Wasn't for Those Pesky Kids. This is described as a white when warm to teal when cold thermal with pink to orange shimmer. This one's $13.50 with a cap of 75. This has a very crelly type formula. It's got a bit of a bounce to it, but it self-levels like a cream. It's ultra smooth on application. I think you can kind of get an idea of that as I'm using that paddle brush, and it is spreading like butter on warm toast. Very easy to transition between the hot and the cold states. The shimmer is quite strong, and it does dry down flat, pretty flat. So you'll want to use a good glossy top coat to finish this off and just kind of amplify that shimmer. Danglefoot also brings us Marcelline with her axe guitar. This is described as a dark purple base with indigo to fuchsia shimmer, reflective glitter, and black micro flakes. This one's $13.50 with a cap of 100. Now, this has reflective glitters in it, so please note it does have a texture to it. It's very thirsty, and this is one of those finishes I would suggest using the texture from your previous coat to adhere the next coat. I think 3 thin coats will work the best with this. My full hand shot is giving you a better representation than my photos. I think my pictures were coming out just a touch light. My full hand shot for the video portion will give you the best representation. This is vampy, good purple goodness, and the sparkles are quite prominent. It gives you this pretty dense scatter of sparkles across your nails. I would strongly suggest a glitter smoothing top coat and a glossy top coat to smooth it out, as it will dry down flat and textured. Danglefoot also brings us Zoinks. This is a burnt orange base with green to pink iridescent flakes. This will play up against your skin tone, and it might pull more red depending on your skin tone. I do agree with that. This is a really interesting type of red. To me, I'm seeing a red-orange. Yes, there's a warm orange undertone happening here, but it's also like a burnt red too. I think it's just going to pull not only on skin tone, but I think it's your lighting situation too. I think my full hand shot gives a pretty good representation, the video portion of what I'm seeing in person. My photos are leaning way too red. So for color accuracy, what I'm seeing, at least on my monitors here, just refer to the video portion of my swatches. This does have a bit of thirstiness, so I would suggest a thin layer of glitter smoother with your glossy top coat and 3 thin coats to build it up. Gin and Berries has Now It's Time to Kick It. This is described as a gray base packed with purple to pink iridescent flakes, metallic silver and violet and black flakes, and a sprinkle of hollow flakes. This one's inspired by Radiskull from the 2000-2001 Joe Sparks Flash animated series. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. We have another Crelly Smooth formula. This builds very easily. You will have opacity at the second coat, but I personally found that third coat plumped it up nicely and just kind of amplified all that flaky mixture on the nails. This has a vampier appearance, and in brighter lights like my photos, you'll see it as this almost pretty concrete looking effect. The silver flakes here will give you this reflective sort of look too. It's very, very lovely. I'm going to suggest a thin layer of glitter smoother and a glossy top coat. And then the companion polish to that one is We'll Be Back to Kick It Later. This is a warm red jelly base with red to gold shifty shimmer, orange and gold glass flakes that give it an orangey glow, and black flakes. Now this is another interesting color. I think my video is doing it better justice than my photos, but my photos I think are pretty indicative to say sunshine or brighter lights, because this is just one of those warmish sort of reds that it's warm, and then the flakes of course warm it up even more. And that's what's giving you that orangish sort of pull. It's a very lush color in person. So a little bit of a chameleon there depending on your lighting situation. I'm going to suggest 3 coats and a glossy top coat to plump it up. Lemming Lacquer has Grim Adventures. This is a green jelly base with pink gold green shimmer and black micro flakes. This is inspired by the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Price is $13.25 and there is a cap of 100 bottles. This is what I would consider one of those chartreuse type of colors. It's got like a lemony yellow type of green pull. And yeah, I would classify it as a Prugly. It has a strong jelly type formula to it. So go in very light on your coats, build it up to 3 coats to maximize the shimmer factor. You may want to use a glitter smoothing top coat with your glossy top coat, because it has a bit of texture and thirstiness from all that flaky goodness. You can stop at the second coat, but I think you'll see just a bit of peekaboo effect from your visible nail line. Lemming also brings us Radio Demon. This is an eggplant jelly base with green microflake shimmer and magnetic pigment that shifts red to bronze to copper. This one's also $13.50 with a cap of 100 bottles. Radio Demon has a very heavy formula to it. It's quite dense. For that reason, I chose to take it to 3 incredibly thin coats. Now, please note if a thick formula bothers you, something a little more viscous, and that's your preference, to thin it, I always caution when you use thinner, go in like you're cooking with salt. You can add in, but you cannot take out. So just a couple of drops I think will be fine if that bugs you. Wearing it unmagnetized will give you this vampy sort of burgundy look, and then magnetizing it, you're going to see this beautiful contrast. It's very galaxy looking with that black backdrop. Lots of movement too, and it's just very, very pretty. Use a plumping glossy top coat as this will dry very flat. Luna Lacquer has Nezuko. This is a smoky base with green to blue shifting shimmer and fire orange and red shifting magnetic shimmer. This one's inspired by Demon Slayer, price is $12, and there's a cap of 100 bottles. Nezuko has a jelly type formula to it. It's quite light. I would say that the base to it seems to be like a charcoal black type of tint. It's on the lighter side, so I'm going to suggest 3 coats when using magnetic polish that has a lighter formula. You'll want to make sure you have as much pigment on your nails as possible when you magnetize. So especially if you're using the DRK top coat like me. Otherwise, each of your coats, just make sure to get a decent amount to magnetize it. And that way you'll have that strong contrast on the buildup. It dries down on the flat side. So again, I'll suggest a glossy top coat to plump it up, smooth it out, as it does dry down flat with a thinner, lighter type of feel. Night Owl Lacquer has Mystery Shack. This is a dark mossy green filled with glowy green to aqua to blue shimmer inspired by Gravity Falls. Price is $13 and there is no cap. Mystery Shack starts off very light. I almost thought this was going to be a sheer type of polish on the first and second coat, but it built up very nicely on the third coat. So for that, I will suggest my standard 3 coat recommendation. I felt a certain way about this one in the best way possible. At first, I wasn't sure about that base color because I was like, ugh, it's a Pruggly. I'm not a fan of that. But something about the way that shimmer popped so well against it, it's like a pretty swamp looking, I guess pretty swamp water is what I'd call it. I don't know. I'm not typically a Pruggly fan, but this one I can definitely get behind. I'm going to suggest those 3 coats with a plumping glossy top coat. Paradpx polish brings us There's More to Life Than Scaring. This is described as a magnetic polish that shifts from a forest green, cyan, and teal with scattered hollow and iridescent flake. This one is $13.50 with no cap. I gotta say, Paradpx does magnetics really well, especially the ones I've worked on over the last few months, and this one's no exception. When you wear it unmagnetized, I'm gonna strongly suggest 3 coats for opacity, plumping, and making it louder in terms of how striking the shift is on your nails. There is medium to small sized flakes floating through here, and you can mostly see them, or rather you can see them better when you go in and magnetize each of your coats, or if you choose to use it like how I do it with the magnetic top coat. And you'll want to finish with a plumping glossy top coat or a thin layer of glitter smoother underneath your glossy top coat. That way everything's nice and smooth and glossified. Paradpx has a second polish for us. This is Schmoopsie Poo, described as an iridescent flaky topper that shifts from forest green, aqua, and deep teal to ocean blue with scattered gold and metallic blue flake. This one's $13.50 with no cap. This is the icing method that I'm always talking about. If you're new to me and my channel, you bead up a topper at your cuticle and then gently push it downwards with the brush and spread it downwards like you're icing a cake. And in my opinion, this is just the best way to apply toppers and you're good to go. This is stunning. Those flakes are so gorgeous and luminous. It's like ocean scales or something. I don't know. It's really pretty. It's very obvious green and blue shifty goodness. This will leave you a touch thirsty. So again, use a good thicker glossy top coat. Penelope Luz brings us Sangria. This is a baby blue hollow with a little holographic flakes. This one's inspired by Dawn Dracula. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. This is so intensely holographic in person. I was like shook. I took my hand away from my lighting situation area thing and I was just marveled at how rainbow filled this is. This is going to be ridiculous in sunshine, public bathroom lighting, and brighter lighting situations. Very, very intense and pretty. And no issues, ironically enough, with, like bleeding or anything with the quick dry glossy top coat. So really nice there. I'm going to suggest 3 coats as it is a jellyish sort of formula and you want all that hollow goodness to be plump and thick on your nails, just how I like it. Penelope Luz also has the companion polish. This is Dawn Dracula, described as a navy blue base with hollow and hollow flakes and red gold green shimmer. This one, of course, is inspired by its namesake. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. This is another beautiful hollow polish. It is stunning, and I think my video is doing decent justification for just how rainbow filled this is. The shimmer is quite prominent too, so most brighter lighting situations and indoor lights, you will see that wonderful reddish, purplish, pinkish type of cast, what have you, in the background, but behind all that rainbow goodness. I'm going to suggest 2 coats with this one, as it has a very dense, opaque, creamy, smooth formula, and it builds very well. It is flirting with being a 1-coater. Now we've got a ton of Wicked polish this month. The companion polish to all of the Wickeds I'm about to show you is Paradpx's Static, which is their white cream polish. So we're just gonna chat as we go through each of these. Don't Go Batty is a neon pink crackle polish. Now, both of the neons, this one, the pink and the green, both of those have a heavier, somewhat chalky-ish sort of feel when you apply it on your nails. Don't worry about that, just keep polishing. And it doesn't matter if you go thin or heavy, regardless, it's going to crackle really well. Both of them were very easy to get to do the crackle effect, what I would consider true neons. Now here we also have the Wicked Polish Pride set. You can grab all of these individually for $15 or $90 for the entire set. $3 of each, or $18 for each full set will go to the Ali Forney Center for LGBTQ plus youth. I'll have a link below in the description box if you want more information on that. So we've got the full rainbow going on here. These all apply very similar. I had no issues with them. No need to go super thin or thick or any specific way like that. You can go in messy or sloppy or whatever. There's no need to be perfect about it, and just let it crackle. I blew on my nails, which is what you're not really seeing on the drying shot, just kind of speed it up, and it was pretty instantaneous. They dry very quickly. I think it's just the nature of the crackles themselves, but these also left my nails very thirsty. It was like they just soaked up my glossy top coat. So I, in retrospect, should have used a glitter smoothing top coat alongside my normal top coat just to kind of prevent that. I think you can kind of get that idea on my photos themselves, because by that point, the glossy top coat just kind of got sucked in general. Now, each of the Pride polishes also have this hollow type of effect to it. I think it's quite subtle. It almost gives this kind of pearly sort of effect to in brighter lighting situations. It's just overall, I think it's more of a metallic look that you're going to get from each of these, regardless what the base color was in general. Now, if you want the more larger cracked look on your nails, I would suggest going in heavier on your coat over whatever cream you're using. Again, Static Paradpx's white cream is what I'm using. If you wanted a thinner type of cracked look, just go in very thin on any of these for that matter. I think I've worked on quite a few of Wicked's polishes over the last few months, and I think that's just kind of the nature of crackle polishes. If you want it more dramatic, thicker, whatever. On Live Openly, you can see that I kind of mucked it up a little bit, and I didn't go as smoothly as I normally do, but it was very forgiving. So just apply it and it will do its thing. I really appreciated that. Rainbow Vibes, you can kind of see how that rainbow effect is there. I can see it in the bottle, but to me, it's more of a shimmery metallic effect actually on the nail. And lastly, we've got Zombie Claw. This is my Poopsies, described as a sheer purple base that glows in the dark with black flakes. This one's inspired by Ursula. Price is $13.50, and there's a cap of 75 bottles. We have another very jelly formula, and this is what I'm going to dub Zombie Claw's signature blended spinach polish. We've seen these quite a bit this year, and this one's just, I don't know, it just looks like a spinach smoothie. It's not green, I know that, but I don't know, it just kind of looks like that. Anyways, my Poopsies is a very jelly formula. It is on the sheer side. I'm going to suggest 3 really thin coats to build it up. Otherwise, 2 normal coats. Use a glitter smoother top coat and a glossy top coat, because this will dry down quite flat and quite thirsty. And we're going to wrap this up with the Will It Topper segment. This is where I use a black swatch stick to demonstrate if polishes have layering capabilities. So the chameleons are all pretty squishy, jelly good. Personally, I would not topper them. I think the thermal is so squishy good and jello-like on its own. I feel like you're kind of not doing the polish itself justice, even though you can see the transition over white. Boo's Door is the same thing. I would not topper this one. It's so beautiful and milky. Yes, the UV state pops, but I just don't think it's worth it. Same thing with Scare Leader. You can make it a more pastel color if you wanted to with the white undie, but I don't see the point. Danglefoot's thermal, in my opinion, is too cream-like. I don't think it works well. Marcelline does, however, on the other side. It's a beautiful purpley looking appearance. I would stick to black or matchy-match purples. Zoinks, same thing. It is so incredibly tinted. I would stick with really dark colors if you do. Jen and Berries, both of them work very well over black, but I would still stick with matchy match, especially for the red orange here, and or black for undies if you choose to layer them. Grim Adventures works from Lemming, but please note in person that Chartreuse color is more prominent. Radio Demon also works if you wanted to, say, conserve your bottle and you only wanted to use one coat. Otherwise, I would not recommend toppering them. Nezuko does work. I think that you can exploit the shimmer here, but the magnetic effect was softer in wearing it by itself, so it's the same thing over the black. Mystery Shack is magical over black. I think you can use this over Prugly creams and blacks. Paradox, the magnetic is stunning over black. It gives you a vampire looking galaxy appearance. And then the Penelope Luz's, both of them, I don't know. I know they work. On paper, yes, it's working here. But personally, these are just so beautiful on their own. It's just, I don't know. I personally, I just like super hollows like these to be worn alone. And the Zombie Claw also works, but I don't know. It's a jelly. It's super jelly. So personally, I would not topper it. So this month's cartoon box is going to go up for pre-order starting May 18th through May 30th. I will link you guys below to the site where you purchase, and I'll also link you to the Facebook group if you haven't joined that and you want to see additional swatches, other swatches from other products that are going to be available this month, and that will all be in the description box, including timestamps. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.